US President Donald Trump on Monday announced a toughened stance against Russia for its Ukraine conflict. He promised a fresh wave of missiles and other weaponry for Ukraine and giving Moscow 50 days to reach a ceasefire or face harsh sanctions. In the Oval Office at an announcement with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump told reporters that he had become deeply frustrated with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump's decision to send weapons to Ukraine marked a shift in his approach after the earlier efforts to get Putin to agree to a ceasefire repeatedly failed. Under the deal, Trump said, the US will supply weapons that will be paid for by NATO countries. Trump's promise that NATO would pay for the weapons satisfies his demand that the US is not continuing to bankroll the war and puts the financial burden on US allies in Europe as well.
Millions of dollars worth of military equipment is going to be purchased from the United States, going to NATO, etc. And that's going to be quickly distributed to the battlefield. I mean, the 500 is, sort of meaningless after a while because at a certain point it doesn't matter. It's not going to be, 100. 100 is going to serve the same function. But, yeah, I have it at 100%. They may have it, I don't know what they're going to end up with. They may have it at 100 too. They may have it at 500.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made regular appeals to the US and its NATO allies for weapons to help defend itself against Russia. Mark Rutte said Germany, Finland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands and Canada all want to be a part of rearming Ukraine. He said massive numbers of weapons would be sent, including missiles, as part of the first wave of equipment.
I was Vladimir Putin today and hear you speaking about what you were planning to do in 50 days. And this announcement, I would reconsider whether I should not take negotiations about Ukraine more seriously than I was doing at the moment, if I was Vladimir Putin. But when I'm Ukraine, I think this is really great news for that. So I really want to thank you for that. And that means the Europeans paying for it. And again, I mentioned all these countries, we will deal with that. And exactly as you said, it might also mean that countries will move equipment fast into Ukraine and then the US later backfilling it because speed is of the essence here.
Donald Trump coupled his arms announcement with a vow to impose tariffs and sanctions on Russia if Moscow will not make a ceasefire agreement within 50 days. The president threatened to hit buyers of Russian exports with sanctions unless Russia agrees a peace deal in 50 days. It is a major shift in policy brought on by disappointment with Moscow. Trump has been reluctant to punish Russia, but he came away from a recent phone call with Vladimir Putin disappointed that the Russian leader appeared prepared to continue the conflict.
I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky spoke to US President after his announcement of new weapons for Ukraine and thanked him for his support. Zelensky said he and Trump had agreed to speak more frequently and continue coordinating their steps.
Генералом Келлогом він почав візит в Україну доволі змістовно. Ми говорили продуктивно. Я вдячний президенту Трампу за готовність підтримувати захист життів наших людей.
And to discuss the impact of US's proposed tariffs for Russia in case the Ukraine conflict isn't solved in 50 days, we have with us Dr. Rajukumar from School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. Thank you, sir, for being with us. So why has Trump given Russia a rather long time of 50 days to reach a ceasefire with Ukraine before US sanctions kick in?
I think that's a very, very interesting question. And the same question was asked by one of the journalists to Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, and he clearly deflected the answer. He didn't try to answer the question. But since you've asked this question, I think he is trying to offer a few things to Ukraine and few things to Russia. To Ukraine, he has said that he'll provide the Patriot system, which is a very potent missile defense system. But he is saying that he'll not pay for it. United States will not pay for it. This has to be paid by NATO members. Now, the speculation or the media reports from the Western countries, media reports suggest that US is likely to provide 10 Patriot missile defense system to Ukraine, apart from other weapons like 155 artillery, also Hellfire missile system, and few other things. So that is the offer that has been, that is the kind of the concession given to Ukraine. But he has also said that this will not be paid by United States. This would be purchased by the European countries and then will go to Russia. So far, we know that Germany has promised 2 Patriot system, that Germany will buy two Patriot system and give it to Ukraine. Norway is going to buy 1. The cost of Patriot missile system is roughly $1 billion. So 3 are already promised, but a few other countries, they might decide to buy and give it to Ukraine. To Russia, interestingly, to coming to your question, that why did he give this 50 days time to Russia? Essentially, he is trying to appease Putin. Let me tell you, what he's trying to say that we give you time, but this would be the time within which you will have to negotiate. And let me tell you, 50 days would be a long time, a kind of a big gift for Russia, because many of the experts speculate or they suggest that Ukrainian defense cannot survive for the 3-4 weeks without the Patriot missile system. So by sending some weapons to Ukraine, Trump is trying to say that you defend yourself for next 15 days, and then probably you can negotiate. To Russia, probably, to President Putin, he is saying that you have time, do whatever you want to do for the next 50 days, and then you'll have to come for the negotiation. So apart from these 2 countries, he's giving some warning to the third country like India, China, Indonesia, etc., who import a lot of oil from Russia, and they might come under secondary sanction. So there is some pressure on Russia that you have to negotiate, but at the same time, it could have been done immediately. That if you do not stop the war, if you do not go for ceasefire, we'll provide weapons to Ukraine, and there'll be sanctions to other countries. But that he has not done. So essentially, in my view, he is giving time to Russia and to settle the issues, whatever. And Russia has turned very aggressive in the last few weeks. The kind of attacks which have taken place. So Kiev is in really bad shape. A lot of attacks taking place through drones and ballistic missiles. And Ukraine is not in position to defend itself, even with the Patriot missile system, let me tell you. It's not that the Ukraine does not have the Patriot. Ukraine already has, we don't know the number, but Ukraine already has that missile defense system. But given the large territory it has, probably it cannot protect itself from all the ballistic missiles that Russia is using against Ukraine. And also Russia has weapons which will not be which will not come in the radar of Patriot. So it's very likely that the war might continue unless and until these 2 countries, Russia and Ukraine, they decide to go for ceasefire. Trump is trying to put pressure on 2 sides, but at the same time, I don't think that this strategy is going to work.
Okay, so is it possible or even likely that the US ultimatum could make Russia escalate the conflict with Ukraine in an effort to capture as much Ukrainian territory as possible before the 50-day deadline?
Absolutely, absolutely. What Russia would think, if you are thinking from the Russian Moscow perspective, so you will think that so we have 50 days, and the Patriot missile system, battery, etc. By the time it comes, it will take a few more days or few weeks. So before that, we can capture as much territory as possible. And the plan of Russia would also be to push. This would be to kind of to seize this Kiev and also Odisha and other parts in Kharkiv. I think Russia will turn much more aggressive within the time period which has been offered by President Trump.
Okay, very quickly, sir, should other countries, including India, be worried by the sanctions threat against Russia?
I think India will certainly be concerned, but also India knows that this is not the first time this kind of pressure, this kind of threat has come from President Trump, and Trump is known for backing out, and trying to negotiate. So India knows that India will have to negotiate with both Russia as well as President Trump, and India is negotiating. As you know, India is already negotiating. I think, my view is that even after 50 days, President Trump would not be as tough as he's sounding now. So he's trying to put pressure on Russia, but again, at the same time, he knows that maybe it's possible that the countries like India and China will not follow the sanctions imposed by Trump on this particular issue when it comes to, because we are importing defense products from Russia. We are also importing a large amount of this oil from Russia, crude oil, etc. Now it's roughly, we have a trade of $65 billion. So India may not come under pressure. So in that situation, 500% tariff that is used, that he'll in case India after 50 days 500% tariff would be imposed on these countries. I think that's more like a threat rather than reality. He cannot do that either with China or with India.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So for now, the ceasefire remains elusive. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajan Kumar, for joining on DD India News Hour.
Thank you.